Something that's easily overlooked in the Austin area for our home lawns is the pH of our soil. Our soil really makes or breaks how well our turf is going to be, whether it's thick, lush and green, or whether it's going to be very thin and struggle to survive. That pH really plays a big role into it. I'm going to go over the reasons for this and how to fix it. So most areas in Austin, along with the Central Texas area, we're going to have a high pH, so it's going to be alkaline. And we have a couple reasons for this. One is going to be the amount of limestone we have just below our soil. If you're on the west side of Austin, you'll be lucky to have 2 to 4 inches of soil, so that limestone's really close. And pretty much most areas of Austin are going to have a higher soil content, high pH. There are a couple areas in Austin where you can find a neutral, even a little bit a lower acidic pH, but it's very rare. Another thing that's playing a big factor in this is our irrigation water. So all the water that, whether it's coming out of one of the aquifers or Lake Travis, it is very high in the pH. So you're throwing that water all over your lawn, and so regardless of what you're doing, it is we're constantly keeping those levels high. There are a couple things that we can do to help mitigate the pH levels, and even though they're all short-term solutions, they do help with the turf health and with the nutrients that we're putting in there. And I'm going to go over a couple things on how exactly the high pH affects our soil and our lawns. So one of the biggest problems that a high pH soil is going to cause is that it's going to lock up the nutrients in the soil. So whether they're, the nutrients that your grass needs, whether they're already there or whether you're applying them, it's not going to allow the grass plant to take it in. It's basically locked up. A lot of times when you see this, you'll have a high sodium count in your soil, and that with the pH, that it's not going to allow your grass plant to take those nutrients in. So when you see somebody, or if you see it yourself, where you're applying a fertilizer and you're not actually seeing the results, this is exactly what's happening. You're putting it down, but the grass isn't taking it up. It's, you can even take a soil sample, and the soil sample says you've got plenty of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all your micronutrients, you've got all that in there. Okay, well, what's the problem? Well, the grass can't take it in because they're locked up with a high pH. So when you look at a soil sample, you have to look at everything and what's going on. You can't just look at one part of it. You got to look at the whole picture. And a big thing is actually looking at the health of your lawn. That's a big thing. You take your soil sample, you take what's going on with your lawn, and determine what the solution is. The other issue with a high pH soil is that it's going to aid in hydrophobic soils. So this is where water hits up on the soil and it just does not absorb into it. It can bead up, bead off, run off. This is why we have surfactants and acids and other things to try to help get that water to move down into the soil to where it's needed. If you have a lot of hydrophobic soil and your irrigation is going down, it's probably not very effective. Again, soil is where it's the base layer, it's the foundation. It's like the foundation of your house. You want to make sure that this is all correct before you worry about anything else with your turf. So here are a couple ways to help fix this temporarily. There's some more long-term solutions and there's some more short-term solutions, but there's no way to get around of the long-term. This is always a problem around here, and we just have to mitigate it. So one of the big things is you'll see when we have a big rainstorm where it drops a lot of water, you see your grass kind of perk up, it'll green up, kind of fill in, and you get a big flush of growth. And one of the big reasons behind this is because rain is typically neutral or a little bit acidic. It could be between a 5 and a 6, somewhere on the pH scale. And what that's doing is when it gets into your soil, it is more acidic than what your soil is. So it's actually going in and releasing all those nutrients. They become available to the grass pulls them in, and it gets a big shot of all the nutrients that's in your soil. And it's also one of the reasons that it does that is that rain is soaking all the way down versus your irrigation not being able to put out enough. So there are a couple things going on with the rain. But one of them is that it is releasing all those tied up nutrients, and it's flushing you're flushing your salts and your sodium down through the profile, getting that out of there and really helping with the health of your soil. So some of the short-term solutions are going to be whether you apply sulfur, that'll help lower it. It'll be very temporary. You will see there are ways of using a certain type of nitrogen. So it's going to be ammonium sulfate because that's sulfur in there. This nitrogen will get in there and will drop that pH. You'll get a big kind of pop out of that nitrogen because that plant's going to take it up along with some other nutrients that you just released, and that's why you get that kind of pop out of it. We don't use that all the time because it does have a burn potential with our summers, and it's very short-lived. It is not a good slow release, long-term feeding fertilizer for your lawn. It is a good tool to have to use here and there. Again, this will be a very short-term solution with sulfur. You can't put it down and then 6 months later expect your pH to be lower. It'll be back to where it normally is. So one of the best solutions, which I like the most, and it has the longer duration of helping with this, is going to be amending your soil. And there are two ways of doing this: stripping out your grass, replanting a good soil profile, whether it's it all depends on where you're at and what you have available to you, but getting some really good soil put in, that will help. Long-term solution. The one I like the best is just top dressing each year. And if you're doing this with a compost, you're feeding organically, all kinds of nutrients, and you're also amending that soil, and you will bring that pH down. Even if it's slightly, that always helps. So bringing it down, this is a more long-term solution. If you top dress once a year, you will see a difference in your soil profile. You'll see a difference in your turf health, your pH level, your nutrient availability levels. It's a great way to do it. You just have to make sure whoever's doing that, or if you're doing it yourself, you're getting a quality product from a supplier. You know exactly where that's coming from. You can get, a lot of companies will sell products that are from the city waste system. So it is basically human waste that has been composted down. You really don't want that. There are a lot of minerals and byproducts that are left in that. Even they say it's clean, I still don't use it. The negative to this is that it is expensive to have it done. It's expensive to do yourself, whether it's the cost of the material, the time of your labor. It's labor intensive. A company with the actual top dressing machines, that's what you want. They'll apply evenly. Do it once a year, you'll see big results, and that'll be a great game changer. So here at Century, the things that we're doing in our 9-round program, we're adding surfactants and humic acids to our each round. That's helping mitigate this, helping water move through the soil profile, and the acid's really doing a good job of dropping that pH down and allowing the nutrients that we just put down to be taken up. We also have a giant mix tank where we mix all of our fertilizers in each day, and then they get pumped into our spray trucks. That water is actually treated as well. We bring the pH down to where we want it. We actually use rainwater, so the pH is actually pretty good, but as we get into summer, it still creeps up there, but we will drop a product in, bring that pH down, and so our product we're applying is at the right level when it's hitting your lawn. So if y'all have any questions, just leave a comment below, let me know, or if you're looking for a good company, local company that can help in the Austin area, give us a call and we will get you on the schedule and get your lawn taken care of. Thanks a lot.